consent that the Senate proceed to consideration of that resolution, expressing the sense of the Senate that all incidents of abusive, unsanitary, or illegal healthcare practices be condemned. The text is at the desk, and I ask that the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, and the motion to reconsider be laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate.
Is there objection?
Mr. President?
Senator from Utah.
Reserving the right to object. As the gentleman from Connecticut, my friend, is aware, we've only just received the language of this resolution in the last few minutes. Without having time to read it closely, I'm reluctant to grant consent on it at this time. But I will say I'm heartened, and I think all Americans should be heartened, and the entire pro-life movement should be heartened by the clear implication in this proposal that health regulations should be equitably applied and enforced on abortion clinics as they are on other healthcare facilities. Part of the reason we fear that Kermit Gosnell's clinic, if in fact the allegations are proven true, was not a rare outlier, is that abortion clinics are generally held to the same safety standards as hospitals, ambulatory surgical facilities, et cetera. And so on that basis, I object.
Heard.
Mr. President?
Senator from Utah.
If I may continue my remarks, which I had started a few moments ago, according to his defense attorneys then, Mr. Gosnell is not a monster, not a serial killer, not a predator of vulnerable mothers and their helpless children. He's just an abortionist. In this context, Dr. Gosnell's alleged crimes were just abortions. And his facility, the so-called Women's Medical Society, reportedly strewn about with animal waste, infectious instruments, and fetal remains, was not, as the grand jury alleged, a baby charnel house. No, it was just a clinic. His staff of allegedly unqualified, untrained frauds were not co-conspirators in the contract killing of newborns. No, they were just healthcare providers. And the failure of local health inspectors and political officials to investigate repeated claims of Dr. Gosnell's barbarism was just a bureaucratic oversight. Perhaps, or perhaps, as the panicked abortion industry would have us believe, Dr. Gosnell is an outlier, an outcast, nothing like the professional, competent, law-abiding, late-term abortion providers around the country. But then again, perhaps not. Just a few weeks ago, a Planned Parenthood representative testifying before the Florida State Legislature suggested that infants born alive during botched abortions might not be entitled to medical attention in clear violation of federal law, to say nothing of fundamental human rights and dignity. And even since then, undercover videos have caught late-term abortion providers telling pregnant mothers that even if their babies are accidentally born alive during the procedure, even if the law requires them to treat the newborn as a patient and citizen of the United States, and also telling them that even if the baby is born somewhere other than their clinic, they will see to it that the child does not survive. So is the case of Dr. Gosnell really an outlier? Or is the legitimacy of the late-term abortion industry merely a lie? The American people deserve to know. Yesterday, I introduced legislation to end the practice of late-term abortion in Washington, D.C. after 20 weeks, the point at which science tells us unborn children can feel pain. In light of the chilling details coming in from Pennsylvania, Maryland, the District of Columbia, and various abortion clinics around the country, that late-term abortions on pain-capable unborn children is an important issue we need to debate. Options will obviously be divided. Opinions will obviously be divided, as they are always on abortion-related issues. But we owe it to the American people to see if we can find common ground to protect innocent women and innocent children. But there really should be no division or controversy surrounding the sense of the Senate resolution I called up just a few minutes ago. The resolution has the support of every Republican senator, pro-life and pro-choice members alike. The resolution expresses the sense of the Senate affirming the duty of the state and federal government agencies to protect women and children from violent criminals posing as healthcare providers, the equal human and constitutional rights of fully born infant children, the need to prevent and punish abusive, unsanitary, and illegal abortion practices. One of the newborns Dr. Gosnell is accused of murdering, baby boy A, was born alive, breathing and moving, to an underage girl, almost 30 weeks pregnant. Witnesses described Gosnell severing the baby's spine, discarding the child in a shoebox, and joking that he was big enough to, quote, walk me to the bus stop, close quote. Joking. A clinic employee estimated baby boy A's birth weight as about 6 pounds, larger and heavier than 2 of my own children when they were born. If there are other Kermit Gosnells out there waging their own personal war on women, we need to know about it, and we need to stop them. Mr. President, I don't think I can make a stronger argument for this resolution than the one that the grand jury in the Gosnell case made itself. And I quote, "Let us say right up front, we realize this case will be used by those on both sides of the abortion debate. We ourselves cover the spectrum of personal beliefs about the morality of abortion. For us, as a criminal grand jury, however, the case is not about that controversy. It is about disregard of the law and disdain for the lives and health of mothers and infants. We find common ground in exposing what happened here and in recommending measures to prevent anything like this from ever happening again," close quote. I hope the Senate, too, whose members cover a similar spectrum of views on abortion, can follow the grand jury's lead to find common ground in the pursuit of truth and justice for American women and children. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
The senior senator from Connecticut.
Again, Mr. President, I accept and sympathize with the goals of the resolution offered by my friend from Utah. And what I'm suggesting is a resolution that includes those criminals who may be posing as healthcare practitioners in one field of practice, but extends the condemnation to all areas of practice. And I hope that Senator Lee, my friend from Utah, will share my outrage at reprehensible and illegal actions that occur, unfortunately and tragically, in other areas of practice. And let me just mention a few. We ought to speak about the tragedy at the Pennsylvania clinic, where these incidents occurred, but we also should talk about the Oklahoma dentist who exposed as many as 7,000 patients to HIV and hepatitis B and C through unsanitary practices. Thousands of his patients are being tested to see if they've been infected, and so far 60 of his patients have tested positive for these viruses. That is 60 people who trusted their dentist, a healthcare provider in a position of trust and responsibility, relying on him to respect and care for them safely and responsibly, and instead they're now facing potentially life-threatening diseases that are as abhorrent and despicable in the lack of responsibility and care as what happened in Pennsylvania. And we ought to talk about that incident with the same outrage that we talk about what happened allegedly in Pennsylvania. We ought to speak about the healthcare practitioners at the endoscopy center of Southern Nevada that exposed 40,000 patients to hepatitis C through unsanitary practices. These unsanitary practices went on for years. And that's why this clinic may have hurt as many as 40,000 people. We're talking about 40,000 people, again, exposed to unnecessary danger because of the lack of